What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Mythical Expanse. We've been hard at work here in the Mythlands, and today is no different. In today's episode, we are crafting some brand new builds, some custom trees, and bringing life to the whole area. But the first thing that I'm thinking about today is a brand new storage unit because as you can see, we're starting to overflow into areas that I don't necessarily want our materials overflowing. So to get things started, I'm thinking a brand new storage unit. Starting with a little bit of terraforming out front of our sugarcane farm and then extending the road a little bit further, as well as kind of straightening it out where we had that tree blocking our path earlier. All right, so now with our road extended all the way down into this area, kind of heading off to where our mines are, I'm thinking a nice large storage unit right here to hold all of our stones. And I actually think we have all the materials ready for this build, so I'm gonna jump right into it. Jumping right into it by clearing out a little bit of space and then bringing in some mossy cobblestone, as well as some cobblestone and andesite for the main structure with different stone accents for representation. Okay, so there it is, pretty much complete. We have all kinds of details in here and you can visually see where you're going to be going for all of your materials, which I think makes it really easy. We also have some barrels here in the floor, but yeah, we're missing a little bit more lighting and obviously the chest, but we need 89 chests to fill this thing up, so let's see what we can do. Okay, so we have 10 chests here to get ourselves started. We also have a bit of bamboo to make up some more chests. Hey, not bad. 31 chests to get ourselves started. I can take that. And then if we empty out all of these chests, that'll give us a little bit more as well. All right, so we have moved our stone and stone-like materials out of our house and down here into our little storage unit where we have just a few chests. We definitely need a ton more. And the best way to do that is actually with a bamboo farm. And we have a little farm over there planted, but that's really not going to do it for how many chests we need. So I'm thinking we're going to do a little bit of digging right here and put an automated bamboo farm in next to our sugarcane farm. And for this build, we're gonna need another 6 stacks of oak logs. So we're gonna grab those right here. We're gonna grab some planks and we're also gonna need a bunch of spruce as well. So I'm just gonna grab probably 4 stacks here. We're also gonna need a little bit of dark oak, which I'm hoping this is enough here. We also need a little bit of tuft, but we only have 18. That's not gonna do. So it was time to do a little bit of resource gathering, jumping down into the mines and finding a blob of tuff to do some mining with. From there, it was time to do a little bit of landscaping by smoothing out the terrain leading up to where our building is going to go. And then we got to work digging out the cliffside once again like we did with our sugarcane farm, but this time building up the building for our bamboo farm using the same kind of idea here with just our stripped oak logs, bringing in a little bit of mud and then building up the roof with some tuft and some deep slate and then adding a little bit of an extra bit on top. And like that, we have it complete here with a little bit more detail around the windows. And we also have our door in here. Up above, you can see we added some lights and a little bit more detail up there as well. This thing all together is looking a little plain, but I think it fits in with the area pretty well. So I'm pretty happy with it at this moment. And if we make our way inside, you can see we also made up a couple of bamboo farms, which we're definitely going to need to expand this at some point because, we only have 2 double chests in here and it's looking a little bleak, but that's okay. It'll get us started for now and we'll get enough bamboo to get all of our chests that we need, and then we can come back at a later date and make this look a little bit more presentable. From here, I decided to give ourselves a little bit of a break and give the bamboo farm time to kind of operate. So I headed down in front of our starter house where we had been previously growing all of our trees and our bamboo and laid out a bit of a webbing using our dirt. Okay, with a little bit of the webbing in place here, I'm going to try filling this in and see how it feels. This is a little bit of an awkward kind of angle here, but I think it's going to look pretty good once it's done. So let me try to fill this in a little bit and see how it comes out. Continuing on, I grabbed as much dirt as I had and started filling in all of this webbing here, kind of creating a little bit of a shape too. That way it's not just a flat pancake here. We have some little bit of like a ripple in the terrain as we kind of build up towards our starter house. All right, we have the first half of this new field in place here, and I gotta say, I'm loving the way it's coming out. We have a nice little curve in here, and everything is looking really smooth. So I think we're gonna try to finish up this second half. We don't have a ton of dirt left here, but let's see what we can get done. And with one final push of material gathering and placing here, we're actually able to finish off this section of the terrain here, kind of bringing it back down into kind of this little bowl that you see in front of us, and then kind of just smoothing everything up to our starter house. Wow, what a massive difference that makes to the front yard of our house. I can't wait to continue expanding on this. In fact, I think I'm gonna throw down a quick wheat field. Getting started here, I grabbed some cobblestone and some cobblestone variants such as these slabs and stairs, creating a little bit of a retaining wall before grabbing some leaf blocks and filling those with water so that we could plant our field. Once all the wheat seeds were placed in our new farm, it was time to do a little bit of expanding around here, bringing in a brand new road to stretch past our new wheat field and then curving it back around our carrot farm and our previously crafted wheat field. And then I got to work with some brand new custom trees. These are meant to look like our other custom trees, but like a more full and developed version of that tree. So I brought in a few of those to kind of separate the wheat field from our new road, and then brought in some of those older trees that we had previously built up to kind of frame out this tree line. All right, ladies and gentlemen, check it out. We have all of our new trees in here, as well as our large wheat field here out front of our house. And we also brought this path in that kind of brings us all the way down and around this field, as well as this carrot field and our wheat field up there. I want to continue this road all the way around our other carrot field and back towards our bookstore, but we'll get to that in a little bit. But I gotta say, I'm really happy with how all of these trees came out. We have a brand new design tree here, which is kind of like this tree, just a little bit larger, so I'm pretty happy with how that fits in. And I gotta say, this just brings this whole area to life. We also need to do a little bit more detailing underneath here with some more rocks and a bit of the leaf litter, but like I said, we'll get to that in a little bit. I'm really happy with how this is coming out though, and yeah, I think it just looks really nice here down by the wheat field. Switching gears here, it was time for a little bit more resource gathering, this time heading off to the nether in search of the warped stem and its leaf blocks so that we could use those in our next build. And now that we're down here at the beach, it's time to add a little bit more life here with a few custom trees and a nice little surfside house right here. I've really fallen in love with this beach project. It's a nice escape from the farm area of the Mythlands that we've been currently building, and this is kind of just a nice escape and lets me explore a different aspect of my build palettes and things of that nature. All right, ladies and gentlemen, and there it is, our little surf house here on the beach. I think it came out really nice. We brought in a bunch of the blue for the main structure of the building here, and then we kind of matched it with some jungle and some mud on the roofs, and brought in some of the bamboo blocks as kind of little accents, a little bit of yellow accents throughout the build. We also brought in a small amount of the pale wood as well as a bunch of the jungle just to kind of give it that beachside feel to this whole house. If we make our way on into the inside, you can see it's pretty much just a loft and like an open area. We have a nice little kitchen here and some shelving. We have a little stove back there as well as a little bit of a prep area over here. And if we make our way on upstairs here, it's a little unfinished. We need to bring a bed in here and some railings, but we're kind of waiting on a little bit more of the bamboo from our new bamboo farm. But aside from that, I also brought in a little bit more foliage and a couple of trees here. Now, it's a little disjointed at the moment throughout here, but we'll bring in some more trees. We'll bring in some more of the pale trees here as well as kind of fixing up the terrain, because right now it's a little flat and it's kind of just sand directly into the grass. So we'll have to do a little bit to kind of break that texturing up. But that's okay. We're going to bring a nice large tree in over here too to kind of frame out the house. Another thing that I noticed too is that we actually can't place these flowers on the flowering azalea here. We can place them on the roots here, which I think is a little strange. We can't place them on leaf blocks, but we can place them on the roots. I don't think that on the roots it looks that good, so I don't know. I might mess around with it a little bit more. Like I said, I kind of just threw this in here to kind of frame things out and kind of get a picture in mind of where I want to take this. Mixing in a bunch of different trees throughout this area I think is going to be really fun. And then yeah, we'll have to do a bunch of terrain building and designing here on the beach itself, bring in a few more houses throughout, and I think this whole area is going to look and feel really nice. Returning back home here, I am loving this new wheat field and these new trees here. Everything's starting to feel a lot more like alive and full. So I think what I'm going to do for the rest of this episode is kind of just try to finish up this whole area. I think a couple new buildings and finishing up these roads a little bit more and bringing in a few more custom trees will really just kind of take this whole area over the top. And I think that is going to be really, really sweet. So without further ado, let's get some resources and finish this whole place off. For this first build, we're going to need a bit of terracotta, and I think we have just enough terracotta to get ourselves started, so that's really good news. We're also going to need a bit of stripped pale oak for it. We're also going to need some granite stairs, which we are low on granite, so we're probably going to have to grab some more of those. We have enough mud here to get ourselves started, and we also need some cobbled deep slate for some deep slate stairs. Getting started with what I am calling Grandma's house. We brought in that terracotta and the granite for the base structure of the house, and then we brought in some of that pale oak stripped down so that we have a nice white tower kind of attached to it, and then brought it in for the top portion of the house as well, kind of bringing in some more life with some mossy cobblestone on top of the roof, and then adding a bunch of leaves and flowers as well to just kind of bring this whole building to life here on top of this hill beside our wheat farm. And then moving down the street next to our carrot farm and below our bookstore, I decided to add a little wagon depot here, bringing in some of the cooler tones with the stripped warped stem for the main structure. And now with a few new builds in place here, this whole area is really coming to life. And I gotta say, I absolutely love these new buildings. I love bringing in the colder tones with the blue on top of this building here with our little wagon depot on the side of it. I think that just kind of fits this area nice and well. And then of course we have Grandma's house over here, which has a lot more brighter tones, especially with the white tower here using that pale oak. And then we obviously just have a bunch of flowers and a bunch of color kind of wrapping around this entire building. I think it just came out really nicely. I would love to just kind of continue this tree line a little bit closer and then maybe put a flower bed or something down in this area just to kind of tie it into the landscape a little bit better. But I absolutely love this building, love this one as well. And now I kind of just want to continue that path on the backside of these farms and connect up all of these roads and then continue down into this little lower area where we have our kind of industrial spot with our multiple farms and our storage unit. So as I was saying, we have wrapped the road all the way around our carrot fields and back around here towards our little wagon depot and headed off towards where we have our automated farms. And we've also brought the path up to those farms now, so that's nice. And yeah, as you can see in this area, it's a little bit heavy with the coarse dirt. We're definitely going to need to do some texturing with some rooted dirt and things like that, but we just don't have those resources here since we're still pretty early game, and we'll have to kind of spruce up these grass areas here as well. But down here towards our storage unit, we've done a bit more texturing by bringing in some stone, some cobbled stone, and some andesite just to kind of give it some nice texture around this area down towards our mine shaft. And we've also done a little bit of decorating by bringing in a little wagon, some blocks over here, and over in the corner we have some more stone kind of stacked up. So you can kind of see we're starting to bring a little bit more decoration into the area as we kind of continue the road here. Obviously, it's going to need a lot more work, and even this area I think needs a little bit more love and care to it, but I think it's a really good kind of canvas to continue painting on here. I'm pretty happy with how it is at the moment, but like I said, need a little bit more work throughout this whole area. But continuing on, we're going to be stretching the road out into this direction, where in a future episode, we're going to be putting a gatehouse kind of in this general direction. So I want to continue that road up into this direction and actually wrap it up into this little area up here, where we can continue to add some more buildings in this space. So it was time to do a bit of terraforming, opting to not carve too much into the mountain as these buildings won't have much of a function here at the start, and then just adding a little pathway up. So now with a brand new road in here with some nice stairs leading up here, I've kind of flattened off this surface and we are ready to gather some resources and build up some new buildings. So it was off to a nearby forest where we could gather up all of the oak materials that we're gonna need, as well as some leaf litter and some birch wood. From there, I headed off to a pale garden to gather up some more of the pale oak, as well as some of the pale moss. Then it was into the caves with a fortune pickaxe so that we could gather up some of the cobbled deep slate that we're gonna need for this build, as well as some extra tuft. And then traveling an extremely long distance out to a mangrove forest to gather up all of the mud that we're gonna need to convert into packed mud. Now, with all the materials gathered for this build, I think it's time that we finished off this area with one nice large build right here. For this build, I decided to go with a more modern townhouse feel to it, kind of breaking it into 3 different sections, with the white pale oak building kind of sandwiched between these 2 other larger buildings, and then building these up about 3 stories tall so that they could kind of match the tower where we have our automated waterfall, and then just kind of building out this section of the mountain. All right, and there we have it, the newest buildings in this region. Some nice townhouse style buildings here, and I think they do look very, very nice. Taking a little bit of a look back out here, you can see how well they kind of fit into the region. I think it looks so nice here on this hillside with the little bits of color and things like that throughout. We obviously need to kind of add the final touches. A little bit of life needed to be added to this build, but I think all in all, it fits the region so well. And to that note, we need to add a little bit more life throughout the entire region, adding some leaf litter underneath some trees, maybe adding a few extra trees as well, and maybe a few armor stands to kind of bring things to a little bit of action throughout here as well. So I think before we end this episode, I'm gonna add just a little bit more life to the whole region. All right, and one more thing that I want to add is some armor stands. So I think I'm gonna put a little guy in here, and the only head that we have is a pillager head, so that's gonna have to do for now. And I think, yeah, there we go. If we do that, we should be able to kind of manipulate this guy, and I think that we have all kinds of different poses that we can choose from. This is sweet. All right, and there it is. I think that works out. I think we should push it back a little bit, but I think this is pretty cool. Looks like he's kind of loading up his cart with some materials here. I think that is so absolutely cool. We're definitely gonna have to do a little bit more with this throughout the whole town and things, but I think this is a really cool start with our little villager here. All right, and with one final loop around here, checking out all of the progress that we have made today with our brand new wheat field here. Our tree line is absolutely amazing. I love this. I love the way it came out with all these new trees and everything. It just kind of adds a nice little element of like home here. And then as you kind of come up on this hill, you're getting the view of the large tower there. You get Grandma's house over here, kind of adjacent, if you will, to our starter house. And I absolutely love this view. It is just feeling so amazing. And then if we head on over this direction, and we could take the back loop around our wheat field and our carrot field with our new trees over here as well. And then on the back side where we have our nice willow tree here looking amazing, hanging some shade over the road and over our carrot field here. And again, getting that view of just the grand size of the buildings up above here. And then our little wagon depot here with a nice pop of blue color here on the roof. I think that is amazing. It just adds a little bit more life to the whole area. And of course we have our little guy in here looking so cool. And if we head down into the kind of our industrial area here, if you will, with our couple of automated farms, yeah, this whole area is looking a little bit bland at the moment. I'll admit we definitely need to bring some more life into this kind of area here, but it's just filling up so nicely. And I absolutely love the vision. You can really kind of see the vision as you kind of make your way down through here. This whole area as well is going to need a bunch of love, but if we make our way past our mine shaft and you can get the townhouse view here, that is looking so amazing with the white building kind of tucked into the middle there, looking so good. I absolutely love the progress that we have made today. But one last thing that I want to do before I say goodbye for this episode is grab some maps and take some images of our first starter area here. And yeah, there we go. We have our wheat field. We have our starter home. That is looking so cool. And if we make our way down the road here and open up a next map, we should get a nice view as well. All right, and with our maps in hand, I think a really good spot for it will be the top floor of our bookstore here. So I'm gonna run on up there and throw those in. And I was gonna do a 3x3 map, but it came out so perfectly with this 2x2. So I think we're just gonna settle with that. And yeah, hey, we got an iron golem up here. I think I'm gonna just throw this in right here. I think this would be a good spot for it for now. We can kind of just do something like this, real simple as we start out here. We'll obviously kind of upgrade this as we go, but we'll throw these in. That's not where that's gonna go. Nope, that one needs to go down here. And what was this one? That's the next one beside it. So we can throw that in perfect, and there it is. Hey, look at that. There is our little area we have started here. And we are just at 451 days in this world, and we have such a nice little area started, and I absolutely love it. I can't wait to continue to expand on this. I love the tree lines here. You can see all the leaf litter in the ground and everything, kind of giving it that brown speckled look there, and I can't wait to kind of just continue to expand on this entire area. I can't wait. So ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for me in this episode. I really hope you enjoyed it. And if you did stick around, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next episode.